Congratulations! You've connected with the Pulpit Perspectives podcast. Join Reverend Dr. Kent Lundy as he connects with pastors where they preach, literally at the pulpit of their church. It's a point of view with purpose and personality that informs and inspires with real life stories from great preachers you need to know. Your host is Reverend Dr. Kent Lundy. Let's join Kent at a pulpit with a fresh perspective from his guest preacher.
Hello and welcome to Pulpit Perspectives podcast. I'm your host, Reverend Dr. Kent Lundy. Pulpit Perspectives podcast exists to create connections among clergy in the North District and their congregations. I'm standing here at the pulpit here at Michigan City First United Methodist Church in their sanctuary at their pulpit with their senior pastor, Reverend Nichols. Welcome.
Welcome to you as well.
Thank you. All right. So how long have you been pastor here at this church?
I came in July of 2017, so I'm beginning year 8.
Year 8. Okay, lovely. And so what do you do for fun?
I walk my dog, talk to all the neighbors, smell all the good smells, and take pictures of the beautiful garden that's 2 blocks away from my home.
Wonderful. Sounds fun.
It is.
Yeah. It's a gift that it's so close.
It is indeed.
So who are you, Mary or Martha?
That's an interesting question because in my very first appointment, we were doing something during Lent and talking about Mary and Martha, and everyone there said that they were too much Martha and they needed to have more Mary. And they looked at me and said, Nancy, you don't need any more Mary. You need to be a Martha. And I think through the years I have developed my Martha, but because I'm somewhat of an introvert, although people who know me would not believe that, I like to write. I wander with my camera. I suspect that there is as much Mary now as there was 40 years ago, and a little more Martha.
Now, you made me think about it, Mary with a camera. That's an interesting thought journey in my mind. That if, what kind of pictures would she take at the feet of Jesus? The angle.
Exactly.
Wow. That's interesting to.
I think one reason I do my photography is because it slows everything down and it brings my eyes into focus as I'm looking through the lens.
Yes.
So,
Okay. All right. So what is your favorite church season?
Advent.
Say more.
Because I can be in the Old Testament as much as I want to be. Who wants Advent without Isaiah?
Yes.
Because it is a season of pregnancy, of expectation as we are waiting for new birth. And isn't that what we all do? As we live this life called a life of faith, there's always seasons of pregnancy and new birth. Some people might call that prevenient grace.
Maybe. I've heard that.
You think so?
Yes. That'll preach. Okay.
Plus, the music of Advent is just so amazing.
Yeah. How can you not like the music of Advent?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So what are you celebrating?
I'm celebrating that this church has called 2 people into ministry in the past 2 years. One is now serving, Pastor Trish Johnson, and one is just starting his journey, and we hope will be starting the candidacy path after charge conference.
You got.
Yeah. Two people who, for a variety of reasons, spent most of their life thinking they could not be in ministry. And then have discovered that they can be. And I'm anxious to see what will happen when those calls become totally filled.
Speaking of pregnancy.
Yes, exactly.
All the potential that is yet to be birthed here because of the call of those 2.
Yes.
Wow, that's exciting. Worth celebrating.
It absolutely is.
Very cool. All right. So what is your one go-to Bible verse?
chapter 11 of Hosea, the entire chapter where God shares God's disappointment in Ephraim. God shares God's anger. How can I love you because you have turned your back on me? And then immediately says, but how can I not love you? You are my child. And I think I wrote about that chapter in my admission paperwork for Garrett Evangelical in 1981. It has been my constant go-to, as it just keeps reaffirming that no matter how disappointed God may be in human action, God still loves us. And then I have to follow that, no matter how disappointed I may be. I am still called to love in that way.
Wow. Yeah, you had me in the first part, but I'm not so sure about the second part. That sounds prophetic there.
Am I going from preaching to meddling?
Glad I wore my steel-toed tennis shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that you're right though. You just can't leave it at the individual reception.
Right.
It's got to be the expression, right?
And that has been the growth of 40 years in ministry.
Right. Yeah. Okay, that's good stuff. Yeah. Who inspired your call to ministry?
Al Kundenreich, who nagged me until I said, okay, I'm not going to be a pastor, but I'll go to seminary. Because that would have been in 1980. I didn't know any women clergy. I didn't know that women could be clergy. I've always been Methodist or United Methodist, but I went to a Lutheran college, and of course they were struggling with the idea of women even reading from the pulpit or from the lectern, much less being clergy. And I got home after college, and Al was the appointed pastor, and he kept saying, Nancy, you have a call to ministry. And when I said, no, women don't do that, which I had also told to God when I was 12 and didn't remember for many years, Al made sure I met some women in ministry. And I started seminary in 81 and went to a called charge conference in the spring of 82.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow. And you've never looked back since?
Oh, I've looked back on a regular basis.
Oh, okay. Pardon me.
One of my mentors, Dan Motto, told me one time that if he didn't reevaluate his call to ministry every 5 years or so, he figured he wasn't doing something right. And so I have reevaluated regularly through the years.
I can appreciate that perspective.
And I'm still here.
And you're still here. Okay, there you go.
I'm still here.
Yes.
And still loving it.
Maybe because of the reevaluation that you've recommitted yourself and reconfirmed your call.
Every year at annual conference, I go through the ordination vows during the ordination service and reaccept them.
Right. Yeah, that's beautiful. Okay. Thank you. So who or what keeps you humble?
I served at Broadway Christian Parish for 7 years. Inner City Church with a ministry to those who are unhoused and have other struggles. I've served here now for 7 years with not quite the same kind of inner city ministry, but still working with those who are unhoused and who struggle with addiction or mental health issues. And when I ask them how they're doing and they say, I'm blessed. I slept in a bed last night. I got up and had a fabulous donut from a local orchard. I drank a really good cup of coffee with real cream in it. I chose whether or not I was going to take a shower last night or this morning. Many of the people we serve here don't have those choices, and they can still say they're blessed. That's what humbles me.
And you've received that as a gift, which is a gift.
It is truly a gift. Now, I get honked off. I am absolutely human, but at the end of the day, I try to be humble in the face of such faithfulness.
That's a beautiful witness.
Thank you.
Thank you. If you only had one preacher to listen to the rest of your life, who would that one preacher be?
And I know you're going to limit it to one. So I will give you my thought process.
Okay.
Bob Dygert Gerhardt, who was my senior pastor for 18 months and had the courage in the pulpit to say what needed to be said. He's retired, so I don't get to listen to him anymore. Barbara Brown Taylor, just because I think she's a fabulous writer, but probably Bishop Michael Curry. I had the opportunity to hear him at a festival of homiletics, and he was late. We were sitting there waiting, and he didn't come, and he didn't come, and he didn't come, and he finally got there, and he stood in the pulpit, and he looked at us all, and he said, "You can run from the call to God, but you cannot run from the call of nature." And I thought anybody who could be that honest in front of a bunch of preachers and worship leaders, I want to be like. And everything I've ever heard him preach has been phenomenal.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Got it. So pretend with me you're going axe throwing.
Oh, my.
Okay. So just go with me.
I'll go with you.
All right. So you're going axe throwing. So who from, yes, there you go. She's, for our listeners at home, she's going through the motions, what I assume are Olympic style gold medal motions.
Didn't you see that follow through?
Yes, that was beautiful. Wow. All right. Got it. So who from the Bible are you taking with you to go axe throwing?
Vashti.
Okay.
I knew you were going to ask that, but that was my first thought when you asked Kayla and when you asked Dana. It was Vashti. We always hear about Esther, but Vashti is the one who had the courage to say, "I will not be used in that way." And she left. And if you don't know the story of Vashti, find it and read it.
Okay. Sure. But
Not just you, anyone
I
else.
know.
Yeah.
So what, help me with your thought process of why her at axe throwing with you? What?
Because she risked her life to say no. She had the courage to leave, and it would take a heck of a lot of courage for me to throw an axe. I used to try to chip, kindling, and I couldn't do it very well. But I think because of her courage and her willingness to stand up for herself and to not do the expected, and it certainly would not be expected for me to throw an axe.
Yeah, there you go. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because I can picture her determination.
Yeah.
Of her character embodying that in her throw.
Yeah.
That it's all blended together.
And she could see her husband's head, and I don't know, maybe she would have aimed toward, she certainly had some anger.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I like it. That's a first for Pulpit Perspectives podcast for that answer. So, all right. I like it. Not the expected answer. So good.
Never.
Good for you. So when you think about your fellow clergy, whether the ones you personally know or just at a distance, right? What do you hope they know?
That their success is not bound up in numbers, that there's an ebb and flow to ministry, and sometimes you can't believe that you get the privilege of walking with people or of speaking a prophetic word, and sometimes you think, can I retire tomorrow? And all of that is a part of it. But it is so worthwhile. And to keep a sense of humor.
Yeah.
And to have someone you can hug. A human, a dog, a cat, a teddy bear.
Okay. I hope they know that. I hope we know that.
And I hope you do.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, last question, and I appreciate your time. So when you think about the future of you being senior pastor at Michigan City First United Methodist Church, whether that's a short time, long time, doesn't matter. When you think about that future, what 3 words come to mind?
Change, creativity, and courage.
Change, creativity, and courage. Okay? Say more.
We are a downtown church. We were built 102 years ago. The congregation has been here, I believe, since 1838. Had to move the first building because the sand dune was going to eat it. And had to move, I don't remember about the second building. I think the third building, if I have the stuff right, somebody wanted to buy the property and gave them enough money to build this building. So it has been a church on the move since the very beginning. And like all downtown churches in Rust Belt cities, cities that were built with money but now depend upon a service industry, there's way more building at the end of the month than there's money at the end of the month. So what kind of changes do we need to go through? How can we be creative with the ministry that we have or the ministry that God is calling us to, and then have the courage to do what we need to do to stay in ministry in Michigan City, because it is a city that is valuable with tremendous people and needs us. So how can we do ministry together with a changing city?
Right. Say those 3 C words one more time, please.
Change, creativity, courage.
Change, creativity, and courage. Well, that will be my hope and prayer as I think about you and your future here at Michigan City First United Methodist Church. Thank you so much for being a guest.
Thank you, Kent, for asking.
It was a blessing. All right. Well, this has been Pulpit Perspectives podcast, coming to you from the pulpit, from her pulpit, at Michigan City First United Methodist Church with Reverend Nancy Nichols. Pulpit Perspectives podcast exists to create connections among clergy of the North District and their churches. If you want to learn more about all the good things that God is up to in the district, I would invite you to check out the North District Facebook page. You can also go over to the Indiana Annual Conference website, which is inumc.org, to check out all the things that are happening, not just in the North District, but throughout the annual conference. So this has been Pulpit Perspectives podcast with your host, Reverend Dr. Kent Lundy, signing off for now.
There you have it, a fresh perspective from the pulpit with a great preacher. You know you want to hear more. You can do just that by connecting with Pulpit Perspectives with Reverend Dr. Kent Lundy on Apple Podcast and Spotify, where you can like and follow the podcast. What's more, you can spread the good news about Pulpit Perspectives in your church and with your neighbors. Plan now on joining Kent at the pulpit, where you'll meet another great preacher on Pulpit Perspectives.